On the last video, we worked on programming for our host sprite. We set up the first program script for when the green flag is clicked. We're going to set all our variables to 0. Then we do an introduction statement and tell the person to click when they're ready to begin. So we started on this, building the programming stack or script for the first question. And I forgot to have you put one block in, so we need to fix that before we work on the rest of our questions. The way we have it set up right now, when the sprite is clicked, we wait a second, and then the question comes up in a speech bubble with the possible answers, A through D. Then the program waits until it senses a click from the user. Now, what I forgot to have you do right here, before we analyze the answer, is add this data block called set clicked to 0. And then we're going to reattach. So you want to make sure and add this block in. What it does is once a person clicks, okay, the program is holding in there A1, meaning it was clicked. Then we need to reset it, or use this block called set click to 0. Put it back to 0 so that it is set up for the next question. So it will sense when the next question is asked and the person clicks on a button. So make sure that you put this block in, and then we're ready to talk about the rest of our questions. For this quiz, we're going to have 5 questions, and this was our first question. We figured out the programming for it. We asked the question, we sensed the click, we put the click back to 0, then we analyze the answer. If they get it right, we're going to give them 20 points and say correct. If they get it wrong, it's under else, and we say incorrect. So what's cool about programming is once you've figured out one stack of programming for something, if you need to repeat it, you can just copy and paste it. Okay? So for us, we're doing 5 questions. We figured out how to do the question. Now we can just use this stack of programming for the other 4 questions. So a couple of different ways to do that. One way is to use duplicate. And duplicate works like this. You first want to pull apart the part of the programming that you want to duplicate. We will not duplicate these 2 blocks at the beginning. When this sprite clicked, we wouldn't want to duplicate that, because if we did, we would have 5 programs running at the same time, and it would be confusing. This is going to be one long program. When the sprite is clicked, we're going to wait, ask this question, wait, ask the next question, and so on. So this is the section of code that we want to duplicate for the rest of our questions. A couple of different ways to do that. Once you've separated the code that you want to duplicate, you can come up here and use the duplicate button. You can also right-click and choose duplicate, and you'll see now attached to my mouse is the section of code. Whoops, I didn't quite get that right. Let me get rid of that. I didn't quite click on the top one, so I'm going to right-click and hit duplicate, and you'll see it did duplicate the entire script that time. So all I would have to do is hook this down at the bottom, reattach this, and now I have code for 2 questions. The first one's here. The second one, because I duplicated it, just copied in the first question. So I would delete that and put in my second question. Now the other thing you have to remember is that your answers are not all going to be D. Like on this first question, the answer was D, so I put the numeric equivalent of D, which is 4, in if the answer is correct. So you'll have to change the answer too, depending on your second question. If the correct answer is A, B, C, or D. It would depend what goes here. Okay? So then you would just copy and paste. So you would go back to your list of questions. You would highlight question 2. Oops. You would highlight question 2 and its answers. Control C, switch back, and then you would paste in Control V, and then you just make your changes there. I do want to show you another way, just so that you have it in your mind. We can utilize the backpack down here. Okay, so it works kind of like it just kind of works like a clipboard. where you take a script of code that you will use again, you place it in your backpack, and then you just take it out when you need it. So I'm first going to open my backpack, and you'll see that I have these scripts already in there because I did them with my other classes. But what I'm going to do is separate the piece of code that I need and put it over here for a second. Notice I went ahead and deleted out what the question was and what the answer was because I know that's going to change for all 5 questions. So for my ease, so I'm not trying to figure out which question I'm on, I'm going to leave those blank. And I will just grab this and drop it into the backpack. And you'll see that it makes a little copy of it. So now it's as simple as taking it from the backpack and pulling it up. And then you just attach it where it goes. And you'll do that for all 5 questions. So go ahead and stop the video, and you want to go ahead and put in your questions and your answers for all 5. And then the next video is going to talk about how to figure out scoring and tell the person whether they won or lost.